Paddington Bear.
He's fluffy.
He's an icon.
He's the best in us all.
Today on Kitchenette, we make his face.
And put it on a cake.
We are going to be making a chocolate frosted vanilla sponge cake with a little extra layer that we think Paddington would approve of.
The frosting for this cake needs to be chilled before it reaches a spreadable, fudgy consistency, so you'll need to make that first. And this is what you'll need. First of all, put your butter and sugar in a saucepan over a low heat. You can then immediately question your use of a whisk at this early stage in the melting process. Get rid of it and swap it out for a wooden spoon. The most important thing here is to keep the mixture moving and to keep the heat low. Don't lose your patience because it will burn and your kitchen will smell very, very bad. When it melts down and it starts to emulsify together and it's all golden and nice, you're going to add your cocoa powder. You can turn up the heat a little bit at this point and start to give it a really energetic whisk just to get rid of any lumps and make sure it's combining with the butter and sugar mixture. Once everything is combined, you're going to have a smooth, thick mixture, and then you're going to add in your double cream, whisking over a medium heat all the time to make sure that it's combined and it becomes kind of shiny. Look out for bubbles around the edge of the saucepan, they're important. Let it bubble away for about a minute before removing it from the heat. Add vanilla and some salt. I know you're probably looking at this and saying, that is not frosting, that is fudge sauce. And you know what? You're right, you could pour this over ice cream, but don't. Pour it into a bowl instead, let it come to room temperature before moving it to the fridge and stirring it every 45 minutes or so until it turns into this. Well, we could hardly make a cakey tribute to Paddington without a nod to marmalade, which as we all know is his most favourite thing in the world. This is what you'll need to make the orange Jaffa jelly. Prepare your jelly mould. We're using a plate with raised edges lined with cling film. To make the jelly, first dissolve sugar in some water over a medium heat in a small saucepan. Once the sugar has dissolved, add the powdered gelatin and mix until the gelatin disappears into the sugar and water. Remove from the heat and pour the cold orange juice into the warm mixture, stirring the whole time. Add the zest of an orange. Give it a mix. And pour it into your mould before popping it into the fridge to set. So we have our frosting and we have our jelly. But tell me, what's a cake without the cake part?
It's bleak.
She's right, it's bleak. So let's make some cake. And this is what you'll need to make it. Mix together your flour, salt and baking powder and set aside. Place your eggs and sugar in a bowl and whisk on a medium speed for 3 minutes or until the mixture turns pale yellow and holds a ribbon shape. Take a jug or a bowl with the combined buttermilk, oil and vanilla and pour it into the eggs and sugar and gently fold, taking care not to knock the air out of it. Now fold in the dry ingredients gently, spoon by spoon. Try not to overmix at this stage. Once there are no more visible pockets of flour, consider the batter ready. Divide evenly between your tins and bake for 40 minutes at 180 conventional, 170 fan or gas mark 4. You'll know your cakes are done when they're golden brown in colour, or if you do the toothpick test and it comes out clean. And now we've got all our bits, we're ready to put the cake together. First, add a generous heap of frosting onto the bottom layer of your cake, smoothing the top as much as you can. And now for the slightly tricky part. Slide the jelly onto the cake, seamlessly, with no accidents whatsoever. And if an accident was to happen, you can of course shimmy the jelly in secret. Once that's taken care of, gently apply another layer of fudge, smoothing it again as much as you can. Pop on the top and coat the entire cake generously with your remaining fudge. Do this as neatly as you can, and when you're done, be smug.
We'll be decorating our cake with iced biscuits. Don't be afraid. You can do as much or as little of this as you like, but I will be showing you how to do a cookie topper that you can apply to pretty much any character or creature you like, not just bears.
To make the Paddington biscuits, you'll need these things. Begin by adding your flours, sugar and spices to a bowl and mix together. Next, add your chilled cubed butter to the dry ingredients in the bowl, and using preferably cold hands and a warm heart, bring the mixture to a sort of breadcrumby consistency. Once you reach that consistency, make a little well and pour in all the wet ingredients. Then mix. And mix. And keep mixing until you're a whisper away from dough. There we go. Then feel free to go in with your hands towards the end. We're really trying not to get too involved with our dough. We're just going to bring it roughly together into a disc shape before popping it into the fridge for about 20 to 30 minutes. To make your topper template, choose a picture that has a reasonably thick black outline. Label each of the pieces by colour and then cut each piece out to the edge of the black line. Basically what we're making is a little sugar jigsaw. You'll also need a copy of the full image to cut out of the biscuit dough. This biscuit dough has been rolled out to a 0.5 centimetre thickness and chilled for a second time. This is because cold dough will hold the edge that little bit better for any templates or cutters that you may choose to use. In addition to our topper, we're making some paw print biscuits to go around the outside of the cake. These can go into the oven with our topper at 180 conventional, 160 fan or a gas Mark IV for between 12 and 18 minutes. Obviously, the larger topper is at the higher end of that margin, but once they're golden brown, they're done. To ice the paw print biscuits, we'll be using magical dust. We'll be flooding the little paw pads of our paw print biscuits with royal icing. As we're using an instant mix, directions may vary, but what you're looking for is a piping consistency, essentially to wall in the little areas that you're going to flood later. Here we're using a number 2 plain tip, and that's mainly because our decoration box went mysteriously missing and that was all we had. So perhaps you'd like to use a number 3, that would be fine. And if you do see our rogue nozzles roaming the wilderness, please do send them home. When it's time to flood, you can add a little bit more water to the mix and take it to a honeyish consistency. You can also add a couple of drops of colour if you like, we did. Then you can place the flood icing into the areas you've created with the piped icing and let it settle down. If there are any bubbles, you can pop them with a toothpick or a scribing tool, but you don't need to use a toothpick for this whole exercise, like I did, because that was ludicrous. Moving right along, we're going to let those dry, and I'm going to introduce you to Paddington. Okay, so he's not quite Paddington just yet, but he will be with a little bit of this fondant. Take some black fondant and roll it out thinly onto cling film. Then, take the template of your full image and turn it upside down onto the fondant. Carefully cut around the template and remove the excess. Remove the template and place the biscuit base face down onto the fondant shape. Gather the cling film around it, and you can press a little gently before lifting it up and flipping it over. This will give you the canvas you need for all your other pieces.
Cut the other pieces from the appropriately coloured fondant with the templates facing upwards. Then you'll have all the pieces you need to make a very good bear. If the design you choose is a little bit more complicated, you can use the paper pieces as a guide. When you are placing the fondant, you can secure the pieces with a thin layer of edible glue. Try to use as small an amount of glue as possible because a little does go a long way and sleepy glue is more trouble than it's worth. You can use pieces of matching colour fondant to smooth as you go and keep a sharp knife on standby for details and cutting and general poking nonsense. And other than that, take your time and you should be fine. And there we go, Paddington as promised. We really hope you've enjoyed this video.
If for some mad reason you haven't seen Paddington 2 yet, I know it's still in the cinema in our neck of the woods. It's just been released in the US and some other places. It's absolutely essential you see this movie. It is life-affirmingly lovely. Bring your friends, bring your family, bring your little ones, even maybe bring people that you don't even like.
If you've been inspired to make your own Paddington cake, please do let us know how you get on and share your photos with us.
Say hi and tag us in those photos in all the usual places linked below.
And like, comment and subscribe if you'd like to see more videos like this one. And we'll see you next time. Bye!